Deep in the heart of the Congo Basin, where the air hangs heavy with humidity and the forest canopy blocks out the sun, there are stories that refuse to die. Stories whispered by hunters, missionaries, and explorers about a creature so vast and ancient that it challenges everything we know about life on Earth. They speak of a serpent, a monstrous snake said to stretch nearly 50 feet long, thick as an oil drum, silent as death itself. They call it the Congo Titanoboa. To understand why such a tale refuses to vanish, we must go back, 60 million years into the past, to the Paleocene epoch. It was a world reshaped by catastrophe. The dinosaurs had recently disappeared, victims of the great extinction that wiped out most large reptiles. Yet, in the steaming jungles of what is now Colombia, life was already rebuilding. The forests were dense, wet, and hot, far hotter than they are today. In that primordial heat, evolution produced a new giant, one that would rule the rivers and swamps of South America. Its name was Titanoboa carejonensis. Discovered in 2009 in the Carejon coal mines of Colombia, Titanoboa was the largest snake ever known. Fossilized vertebrae revealed a creature that stretched up to 48 feet long and weighed more than a ton. Its body was as thick as a grown man's torso. Paleontologists determined that it hunted like a modern anaconda, ambushing prey in the water, crushing bones with its immense coils, and swallowing whole crocodile-like creatures. But what stunned scientists most was not just its size. It was what its size implied. The world it lived in must have been extraordinarily warm, at least 30 to 34 degrees Celsius on average. Titanoboa was not just a predator, it was an indicator of a lost climate, a living thermometer from a forgotten world. For decades, that fossil record seemed to confine Titanoboa to prehistory. Its bones rested safely in museums, its story told through reconstructions and documentaries. But in recent years, strange reports have emerged from the dense jungles of Central Africa. Hunters have spoken of colossal snakes lurking in rivers. Pilots flying over the Congo claim to have seen enormous shapes slithering through the canopy. Local villagers tell of livestock vanishing overnight, dragged silently into the swamps. Some accounts describe scales the size of human hands. Others speak of eyes glowing in the darkness. To skeptics, it's folklore. To believers, it's evidence that something ancient might have survived. The Congo Basin is one of the least explored regions on Earth. Stretching across millions of square kilometers, it is a labyrinth of rivers, marshes, and forests teeming with life. Satellite imagery reveals vast stretches where no human has ever set foot. In such a place where new species of mammals and reptiles are still discovered every year, the possibility of a surviving relic species, even one as improbable as Titanoboa, captures the imagination. The first Western account of a giant snake in the Congo dates back to 1959. Colonel Remy van Leerde, a Belgian Air Force pilot stationed in the region, reported spotting an enormous serpent while flying at low altitude. He estimated it to be at least 40 to 50 feet long, its body thick and dark brown with a pale underbelly. Van Leerde claimed that the snake raised its head 10 feet off the ground as his helicopter passed overhead. He snapped photographs, grainy, distant images that still circulate on the internet today. Some dismiss them as optical illusions, shadows on the forest floor. Others, however, see in them the unmistakable outline of a massive reptile. Subsequent reports came from missionaries and loggers working along the Congo River and its tributaries. One account from the 1980s describes a team of engineers whose boat was nearly capsized by a massive snake crossing the river. When it submerged, the entire river seemed to ripple with its movement. Eyewitnesses swore that its head was as large as a man's torso. In 2012, a team of biologists from the University of Kisangani set out to document reptilian biodiversity in the northern Congo. Though their mission focused on pythons and crocodiles, they collected dozens of testimonies from local communities. Several villagers described an enormous serpent, known in Lingala as Mokelembembe's brother, a reference to another legendary creature said to inhabit the region's lakes. According to the witnesses, the snake dwelled in deep, slow-moving waters and came out only during the wet season. When it moved, they said, the ground trembled. To understand these reports, scientists compared them to known snake species. The largest living snake today is the green anaconda, which can reach about 29 feet in exceptional cases. The reticulated python of Southeast Asia holds the record for length, with confirmed specimens exceeding 28 feet. But even these giants fall far short of the 50-foot behemoth described in Congo legends. From a biological perspective, such size would require extreme conditions, high temperatures, abundant prey, and low predation pressure, conditions remarkably similar to those that once existed during Titanoboa's reign. But could such an environment still exist today? Surprisingly, parts of the Congo Basin come close. The region is one of the warmest and most humid ecosystems on Earth. The rivers are slow and murky, filled with fish, capybara-like rodents, and crocodiles, all potential prey. The forest floor is often flooded, creating vast, inaccessible wetlands. If any place could conceal a massive, elusive reptile, it would be here. Over the years, cryptozoologists, researchers who investigate animals of uncertain existence, have proposed various explanations for the Congo serpent. Some suggest it could be an undiscovered species of python or an unusually large anaconda-like snake that evolved convergently in Africa. Others believe it might represent a surviving population of Titanoboa or a descendant species that adapted to modern climates. Most mainstream scientists, however, remain skeptical. They argue that a 50-foot snake would leave undeniable traces, shed skin, carcasses, or clear photographic evidence. Yet, as history has shown, the Congo often hides its secrets well. In 2018, a research team led by biologist Dr. Alain Kabuya embarked on a month-long expedition near the Lomami River. Using drones, heat sensors, and underwater cameras, they sought evidence of any unusually large reptiles. Midway through their journey, while navigating a remote swamp, they recorded something peculiar, a massive thermal signature moving beneath the water's surface. The shape, roughly cylindrical, measured about 15 meters long. When the team approached, the reading vanished. Days later, they found an enormous indentation in the muddy riverbank, as if something massive had recently slithered ashore. The footprint-like impressions were nearly half a meter wide. Samples were taken, but the dense humidity and microbial activity made DNA recovery impossible. The team's findings, though inconclusive, reignited debate across the scientific community. Could such a creature truly exist undetected? After all, the coelacanth, a prehistoric fish believed extinct for 65 million years, was rediscovered alive off the coast of South Africa in 1938. In 2002, the Laotian rock rat shocked zoologists by reappearing after an absence of 11 million years. Nature has a way of keeping its oldest children hidden. Documentary crews have since followed the trail, bringing sonar equipment, night vision cameras, and thermal drones. Some have returned with strange footage, ripples in stagnant rivers with no visible cause, trees moving as if something massive brushed against them, or faint glimmers of scales reflecting moonlight. Each piece of evidence is tantalizing, never definitive. Skeptics point to crocodiles, monitor lizards, or logs distorted by heat mirages. Believers see something older, something the modern world was never meant to find. Locals who live near Lake Tele and the Likwala swamps speak of the creature with a mix of reverence and fear. They call it Nguma Monane, the great snake. Elders tell stories of entire dugout canoes swallowed whole, of fishermen who vanished without a trace. One legend describes a battle between the serpent and a crocodile that lasted through the night, their roars echoing across the water. By dawn, both were gone. The water, they say, boiled as if the earth itself had turned over. But what if we set myth aside and look at the biological feasibility? Could a modern Titanoboa survive the cooler climate of today? Paleontologists argue that Titanoboa thrived in tropical temperatures far higher than those currently found in the Congo. However, recent climate studies show that microclimates within the basin can exceed those ancient conditions, especially in lowland swamps where heat and humidity trap infrared radiation. It's not impossible that a large ectothermic predator could adapt. Furthermore, snakes grow throughout their lives, limited only by food availability and environmental conditions. In isolated regions with abundant prey and little human disturbance, a species could theoretically evolve to extreme proportions. The Amazon, for instance, has yielded reports of megaboas nearly 30 feet long, though none have been captured or verified. Could the Congo's version simply be larger, older, and more elusive? Another factor is human perception. In dense jungle environments, depth and scale can be deceiving. A 20-foot snake seen through mist and moving water might easily appear twice as long. Yet even accounting for exaggeration, the consistency of these reports over decades, from pilots to villagers to scientists, suggests something worth investigating. In 2020, a new expedition attempted to verify older sightings near the Sankuru River. The team installed underwater acoustic sensors and motion-triggered cameras. For weeks, nothing appeared. Then, one night, the sensors picked up low-frequency vibrations, pulses repeating at regular intervals, similar to the rhythmic motion of a swimming animal. The vibrations were powerful enough to shake nearby equipment. When analyzed, the recordings resembled the movement patterns of a massive constrictor, far larger than any known python. When the footage from one of the cameras was reviewed, it showed a brief, shadowy form gliding through the murky water, its scales reflecting faint light. The data was published but quickly dismissed by skeptics as ambiguous. Still, for those who were there, it was a glimpse of something beyond explanation. Every few years, similar evidence resurfaces, a blurry photograph, a sonar echo, a frightened witness. Each time the world forgets a little faster, yet the jungle remembers. The forest does not care for our skepticism. It breathes, it waits, and it hides. Today, as logging companies push deeper into the Congo, new roads slice through regions once unreachable. With deforestation comes discovery. Scientists hope that the same expansion that threatens biodiversity might also reveal its deepest mysteries. If the Congo Titanoboa does exist, its days in hiding may be numbered. But perhaps the greatest question isn't whether such a creature still lives. Perhaps the real mystery is why we want it to. Humanity has always been drawn to the unknown, to the idea that remnants of a lost world might still linger in the shadows. The Titanoboa represents that longing, a bridge between the past and present, between myth and science. It reminds us that Earth was once ruled by giants, and that our understanding of nature is never complete. In the quiet hours of the night, when the forest hums and the rivers murmur, one can almost imagine it. An immense silent shape gliding through black water, its scales glinting like bronze beneath the moon. The creature pauses, sensing vibrations through the current, ancient instincts awakening in its cold blood. Then, with a ripple that shatters the reflection of the stars, it disappears beneath the surface. Perhaps one day we'll find the proof we seek, a shed skin the size of a tarp, a skeleton beneath the roots of a fallen tree, or a flash of scales caught by a camera drone. Or perhaps the Congo Titanoboa will remain forever unseen, a living ghost of prehistory, reminding us that not all of Earth's stories have been told. Until then, the jungle keeps its silence, the rivers carry their secrets, and somewhere, far from human eyes, something enormous still moves beneath the green heart of Africa.